Vance fumbles with a leather briefcase that probably cost more than the materials he supposedly bought for Mrs. Gable's roof. He pulls out a crumpled piece of paper and hands it to Bird. Bird walks it over to me, his face a mask of professional boredom, but I can see the tightness in his jaw. He's seen enough of these guys to last 10 lifetimes. I take the paper. I don't even need a magnifying glass to see it's a joke. It's a standard boilerplate contract he likely downloaded from some get-rich-quick-as-a-contractor website. The logo at the top, Elite Home Shield, looks like it was designed by a toddler with a crayon. This is it? I ask, holding the paper between two fingers like it's a piece of rotting fish. This is your ironclad defense, Mr. Vance? It's a legal document, Judge, he says, his voice regaining some of that greasy confidence. Clause 4 clearly states that the contractor is not responsible for any secondary damage caused by acts of God or pre-existing structural weaknesses. The rain was an act of God. The leak in the bedroom was a pre-existing weakness. It's right there in black and white. She signed it. I look down at the signature. It's shaky. It's the signature of a woman who was told her house was going to collapse if she didn't sign right then and there. Let's talk about Clause 4. Mr. Vance, I say, leaning back, and let's talk about your elite business. Bird, did we get the verification on Mr. Vance's contractor's license for this county? Bird shakes his head. No record of a license under that business name or his personal name, Judge. And the business address on that letterhead? It's a P.O. box at a UPS store. I turn my gaze back to Vance. He's sweating now. A thin bead of moisture is trickling down his temple. Good. I want him to sweat. I want him to feel exactly how Mrs. Gable felt when the water started pouring onto her husband's Navy medals. So you're an unlicensed contractor operating out of a mailbox, charging elite prices for act of God disasters that you created, I say. Tell me, Mr. Vance, when you were up on that roof for maybe an hour, what exactly did you do, besides take $5,000 of a widow's money? We did an assessment. We pulled back the damaged shingles to see the extent of the rot. He yells. He's getting defensive. That's the first sign of a liar losing his grip. You can't fix a roof without seeing what's underneath. I had to order custom shingles to match her house. That takes time. Custom shingles? I bark. It's a standard asphalt shingle. Mr. Vance, you can get them at any Home Depot in a 5-mile radius. Don't pee on my leg and tell me it's raining. You took the money, you ripped a hole in her roof to make sure she couldn't hire anyone else, and then you vanished. That's not true, Mrs. Gable, I say, ignoring his outburst. When he told you he needed more money for materials, did he show you a receipt? Did he show you an invoice from a supplier? No, Your Honor, she says. She's standing straighter now. She sees that I'm not buying his act. He just said the prices had gone up since that morning. He said if I didn't give him another $2,000, he'd have to leave the roof open over the weekend because he couldn't afford to cover it. And did you give him the extra $2,000? I didn't have it, she whispers. I told him I'd have to call my son. As soon as I mentioned my son, he got very angry. He said his crew was leaving, and he wasn't coming back until the account was settled. I look at Vance. You threatened her. You used her home as a hostage. I was protecting my business interests, Vance shouts. I'm not a charity. I don't work for free. You didn't work at all, I roar, slamming my hand onto the bench. The sound echoes like a gunshot. Vance jumps. You committed a fraud. You walked into a senior citizen's home, misrepresented yourself as a licensed professional, took her life savings, and then intentionally left her property vulnerable to the elements to extort more money. That's not business, Mr. Vance. That's a shakedown. You can't prove that, he mutters, though his voice is trembling. It's my word against hers. No, sir, I say, my voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. It's your word against the laws of physics, the structural engineer's report, and my common sense. And let me tell you something, my common sense is a lot more reliable than a man who laughs at a woman's tears. I pick up the photo of the ruined military trunk. I hold it up so he has to look at it. Look at this, Mr. Vance. Look at it. This man served his country. He spent years away from his family so people like you could have the freedom to be a parasite. And you think it's funny that his service records are floating in a puddle of mud because you were too lazy or too crooked to put a tarp over a hole you made? Vance tries to look away, but I won't let him. Look at the photo. Is it funny now? Is the drama still too much for you? I didn't mean it like that, he stammers. How did you mean it? Explain the joke to me, Mr. Vance. I'm a very smart woman, but I seem to be missing the punchline. Explain to me why a woman losing the only tangible memories of her deceased husband is a payday for her. I'm waiting. The courtroom is so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Vance is staring at his shoes. The elite contractor looks like a scared little boy who got caught with his hand in the cookie jar, except the cookie jar was a widow's retirement fund. I'm not a bad guy, he mumbles. I got overextended. I had other jobs. I don't care about your other jobs, I snap. I care about this job. I care about the fact that you stood in this courtroom and mocked a victim. You have no character. You have no soul. And if I have anything to say about it, you're never going to touch a hammer in this state again. I turn back to the file, my pen poised to write the judgment. But I'm not done with him. Not yet. There's the matter of the $5,000, and then there's the matter of the damages. The law limits what I can do in a small claims setting, but I am going to squeeze every cent the statutes allow out of this man. Mr. Vance, do you have any assets? I ask. I have my truck, he says. A shiny truck, I bet, I say. Probably has Elite Home Shield plastered on the side in big, bold letters. Well, you might want to start thinking about selling it, because by the time I'm finished with you, you're going to owe Mrs. Gable every penny she gave you, plus the cost of the repairs to fix your assessment, plus the maximum for the property damage you caused. That's not fair, he yells, his face turning that ugly shade of red again. I put in time. I deserve to be paid for my time. You deserve to be in handcuffs. I fire back. Bird, call the district attorney's office. I want them to look into Elite Home Shield. I suspect Mrs. Gable isn't the only elite victim in this town. We're going to see if Mr. Vance here has a history of acts of God following him around. Vance's face goes pale. He realizes this isn't just about a $5,000 check anymore. He's looking at a criminal investigation. He's looking at the end of his little scam. You can't do that, he screams, stepping toward the bench. Bird is on him in a second. Back up, sir. Back up right now. I don't flinch. I've had bigger men than Derek Vance try to intimidate me. It never works. I lean over the bench, staring him down as Bird holds him back. I can do whatever I want in this courtroom, Mr. Vance, because in here, I'm the law, and the law doesn't like you. I look at Mrs. Gable. She's watching me, her eyes wide. For the first time since she walked in, the fear is gone. She sees that someone is finally standing up for her. She sees that the bully is being bullied back by someone with a robe and a gavel. Sit down, Mr. Vance, I say, my voice cold and hard as granite. Sit down and shut up while I decide exactly how much this laugh is going to cost you. He sinks into his chair, defeated. But I'm just getting warmed up. I need to go through the secondary inspector's line item list. I want to make sure I don't miss a single cent. Every ruined photo, every soaked carpet, every hour misses. Gable spent shivering in a wet house. It's all going on the bill, and I'm going to make sure he pays it if I have to follow him to the ends of the earth myself. I pick up the structural engineer's report again. I want to read the words out loud so they can sink into that thick, arrogant skull of his. Mr. Vance, listen to this. The inspector, a mister. Harrison with 20 years of experience, unlike you, who seems to have 20 minutes of experience in fraud states, and I quote, the defendant intentionally removed the protective flashing around the chimney and left the subroof exposed to a predicted storm system. No attempt was made to secure a temporary tarp. This appears to be a deliberate act to exacerbate existing minor issues. Do you know what that sounds like to me, Mr. Vance? He doesn't answer. He's staring at the table, picking at a loose thread on his sleeve. Look at me when I'm talking to you, I bark. His head snaps up. That sounds like a racket. It sounds like you went up there, broke more than you fixed, and waited for the rain to do your dirty work so you could come back and demand more money. It's an old trick, and it's a disgusting one. That inspector is a liar, Vance says, though the fire is gone from his voice. It's just a pathetic whine now. He's a competitor. He's probably trying to get the job himself. He's biased. He's licensed, Mr. Vance. You're not. I fire back. He has a reputation in this community. You have a P.O. box and a smirk. I'll take his word over yours any day of the week and twice on Sunday. Now let's look at your expenses. You claim you spent $3,000 on custom materials. Bird, show me the receipts he submitted. Bird hands me a stack of papers. I flip through them. My blood starts to boil all over again. These aren't receipts for roofing materials, Mr. Vance. These are invoices from a printing shop for 5,000 Elite Home Shield flyers. And here's a receipt for a custom wrap for a Ford F-150. And oh, this is rich, a receipt for a dinner at a steakhouse on the night you left Mrs. Gable's roof open to the rain. $180 for ribeye and bourbon. Is this what you did with her money? The courtroom gasp is audible. Even the court reporter looks up, disgusted. I have to market my business, Vance yells. The dinner was a business meeting. I was trying to secure a big contract. With whose money? I scream, leaning so far over the bench, I'm nearly eye to eye with him. You took a widow's life savings and used it to buy yourself a fancy dinner and put stickers on your truck? You didn't buy a single shingle. You didn't buy a roll of tar paper. You spent her money on yourself while she was using pots and pans to catch rainwater in her bedroom. I turned to Mrs. Gable. Madam, did he ever bring any materials to your house? Any wood? Any bundles of shingles? No, Your Honor, she says softly. He said they were being delivered from an out-of-state warehouse because they were specialty grade. They never arrived. Specialty grade, I mutter, turning back to Vance. You're a special kind of something, all right. You're a bottom feeder. You targeted this woman because you thought she was old, you thought she was alone, and you thought she wouldn't have the strength to fight back. You thought you could laugh in her face and she'd just take it. Well, guess what? She's not alone today. She's got me. I have rights, Vance shouts, his voice cracking. You're biased. You're attacking me personally. I want a different judge. I let out a short, sharp laugh. It's not a happy sound. You want a different judge? You're lucky you're not in front of a criminal judge yet, because if I were wearing a different robe, you'd be leaving this room in leg irons. You don't get to choose your judge, Mr. Vance. You chose to come into this courtroom, and now you're going to deal with the consequences. You haven't even seen a tact yet. We're still in the polite phase of this conversation. I take a deep breath, trying to center myself. I need to be precise. I need to make sure the judgment is airtight so this worm can't wriggle out of it on a technicality. Mrs. Gable, I say, my voice softening as I look at her. I've seen the photos of the damage. But I want you to tell me about that trunk. Your husband, he was in the Navy? Yes, Your Honor, she says, a small smile touching her lips for the first time. He served for 22 years. Chief Petty Officer Arthur Gable. He was at sea most of our early marriage. That trunk, it held everything. His logs, his medals, the letters we wrote to each other when he was stationed in the Pacific. It was the only thing I had left that really felt like him. And the water ruined the letters? She nods, her eyes filling with tears. The ink ran. They're just blue smudges now. And the medals, the ribbons are rotted. The inspector said the water sat in that trunk for 3 days because I couldn't lift it to move it out of the leak. I'm not as strong as I used to be. I look at Vance. He's looking at the ceiling, trying to pretend he's not hearing this. The sheer, unadulterated coldness of the man is staggering. Mr. Vance, look at me, I command. He doesn't move. Bird, make him look at me. Bird steps toward him, and Vance finally turns his head. You laughed at that, I say, my voice trembling with the effort to keep it steady. You sat there and you snickered while she talked about the letters her husband wrote her from across the ocean. Letters that are now blue smudges. Because you were too busy eating a ribeye steak on her dime to put a tarp on her roof. I want you to look at her. right now, look at Mrs. Gable. He glances at her, then away. Apologize to her. I say, what? He stammers. You heard me. Apologize for your behavior. Apologize for your incompetence. Apologize for being a disgrace to the title of businessman. I'm not apologizing for doing my job, he mutters. You didn't do a job. You did a heist, I roar. If you don't apologize to this woman right now, I am going to find you in contempt, and you can spend the next few hours in a cell thinking about your manners. Do you understand me? It's not a request, it's an order. Apologize. The silence in the room is suffocating. Vance's face is purple. He looks like he's about to explode. He looks at Mrs. Gable, his jaw clenched so tight I think his teeth might break. I'm sorry, he spits out, the words sounding like shards of glass. Not good enough, I say. Try again. Like you mean it. Like a human being who has a mother or a grandmother. Try again. I'm sorry for the items that got wet, he says, his voice flat. It's a start, I say, though I know it's empty. I didn't expect a real apology from a man like him. I just wanted to see him crawl. I wanted him to feel the weight of the room pressing down on him. I pick up my pen. It's time to settle a score. Here is what's going to happen, Mr. Vance. I've reviewed the maximums for property damage, the return of the initial $5,000 payment, and the additional costs incurred by the plaintiff to secure her home after you abandoned it. Mrs. Gable, you have a quote from a legitimate, licensed roofer to repair the damage Mr. Vance caused, correct? Yes, Your Honor. It's $7,400, and the $5,000 you already gave him is gone, I say. So you're out $12,400 plus the value of your husband's property. The limit in this court is $5,000. It's nowhere near enough. It's a drop in the bucket for what this man has done to you. Vance starts to look relieved. He thinks he's getting off with a $5,000 slap on the wrist. He thinks he's won. He doesn't know me very well. But I continue, my voice gaining a sharp, predatory edge. There are other ways to handle a man like you, Mr. Vance. Ways that don't involve a simple check. I'm going to award the full $5,000 today. That's a given. But I'm also going to refer this entire file, the contract, the steakhouse receipts, the inspector's report, and the recording of your behavior today to the Office of the Attorney General for the State of New York. I want them to look at your elite business for elder abuse, fraud, and operating without a license. Vance's eyes go wide. You can't do that. That's personal. You're trying to ruin my life. You ruined hers first, I yell. And you did it with a laugh. Now, sit down. I'm not finished. I'm just getting started on the math. I look down at the receipts one more time. It's a paper trail of a man who thinks the world owes him a living while he contributes absolutely nothing to it. Mr. Vance, you say you're a businessman. A businessman keeps records. A businessman has a license. A businessman doesn't use a client's deposit to buy a ribeye steak while her bedroom is turning into a swimming pool. You're not a businessman. You're a grifter with a fancy truck wrap. I have overhead, Vance shouts, his voice cracking. Insurance, fuel, advertising. It all costs money. You're acting like I just pocketed the $5,000 and went on vacation. You didn't go on vacation. You went to a steakhouse. I fire back. And according to the New York State Department of State, you don't have insurance? You don't have a bond? If Mrs. Gable had tripped over one of your specialty shingles, if you'd actually brought any, she wouldn't have had any recourse because you're a ghost, Mr. Vance. You're a phantom contractor. I turn back to Mrs. Gable. She looks exhausted, but there's a flicker of triumph in her eyes. Mrs. Gable, when he was working on the roof for that 1 hour, did you see any tools? Did they have a ladder, a nail gun, anything? They had one ladder, Your Honor, she says. And a bucket. I thought they were just getting started. I didn't know they were tearing things apart. A bucket. I repeat, looking at Vance. One ladder and a bucket to replace a whole section of roofing. Were you planning on catching the rain in the bucket, mister? Vance, is that what the $5,000 bought? A single bucket? The gallery erupts in a wave of muffled laughter. It's the sound of people seeing a bully finally get his comeuppance. Vance turns around and glares at the front row. "Shut up!" he hisses. "Don't you dare tell anyone in my courtroom to shut up," I scream. "I'm on my feet now. I don't care about the decorum of sitting. This man's arrogance is a physical weight in the room. The only person who is going to be quiet is you. You've done enough talking. You've done enough lying. You've done enough laughing." I slam the gavel down so hard the water in my glass ripples. "Bard, I want this man removed from the podium and placed in the back row. I can't stand the smell of him any closer to the bench. He reeks of dishonesty." Byrd moves with the efficiency of a man who has done this 1,000 times. He takes Vance by the arm. Vance tries to pull away, his face twisted in a mask of pure, unadulterated rage. "This is a kangaroo court. You're just a TV judge. This isn't real law. It's real enough to take $5,000 out of your bank account, Mr. Vance," I yell as he's led away. "It's real enough to send a transcript of this hearing to the district attorney. It's real enough to make sure that Elite Home Shield becomes Elite Home Prison if the AG finds what I think they'll find." Vance is shoved into a seat in the back. He's fuming, his arms crossed, his leg bouncing nervously. He looks like a cornered rat, and rats bite when they're cornered, but I have a very large cage. I sit back down and take a breath. I look at Mrs. Gable. "Madam, I am sorry. I am sorry that you had to encounter a person like this at this stage of your life. You've worked hard. Your husband served this country. You deserved a roof that kept the rain out and a contractor who kept his word. You got a predator instead. Thank you, Judge," she whispers. I just wanted him to know he couldn't do it to anyone else. I don't care about the money as much as the lack of respect." "Oh, he's going to learn about respect," I say, my voice low and dangerous. "He's going to learn it from the sheriff's deputies when they come to talk to him about his lack of a license. He's going to learn it when his elite truck is towed away to satisfy a judgment. But we're not done with the financial aspect of this. Mr. Vance?" Vance looks up from the back row, his eyes narrowed. "What now?" "Stand up when I address you," I bark. He stands, slowly, mockingly. "You mentioned you have overhead," I say. "Do you have any other employees? Anyone else on your payroll?" "I hire day laborers," he says. "I give people jobs. I'm a job creator." "You're a victim creator," I snap. "Did you pay these day laborers to work on Mrs. Gable's roof? Do you have receipts for their wages?" "I pay cash," he says, a smug look returning to his face. "No records. It's off the books." I smile. It's not a nice smile. It's the smile a shark gives right before it closes its jaws. "Off the books, you say? Well, isn't that interesting? So, not only are you an unlicensed contractor, not only are you a fraudster, but you're also admitting to tax evasion and labor law violations on national television. Byrd, make sure the IRS gets a copy of this tape as well. I'm sure they'd love to hear about Mr. Vance's off-the-books business model." Vance's face goes from red to a sickly, ghostly white. He realized it too late. He thought he was being clever, showing how tough and street smart he was. Instead, he just handed me the rope to hang him with. I didn't mean it like that," he stammers. "I mean, it's just casual help." "It's illegal, Mr. Vance. Everything about you is illegal. Your business is a lie, your contract is a lie, and your elite reputation is a lie." I turn back to the file. I'm looking at the photos of the bedroom again. "Mrs. Gable, you said the water ruined the carpet as well?" "Yes, Your Honor. The padding underneath is soaked through. The room smells of mold now. I can't sleep in there. I've been sleeping on the sofa for 3 weeks. 3 weeks on a sofa at 82 years old." I mutter. My heart aches for her. My mother would have been the same way, too proud to ask for help, trying to dry out letters with a hairdryer while a crook ate steak with her money. And you, Mr. Vance, you laughed. You actually sat there and found the humor in an elderly woman sleeping on a sofa because you were too lazy to buy a $20 tarp. "It's not my fault she doesn't have a guest room," Vance yells from the back. "Byrd!" I scream. "One more word out of him. Just one." Bird steps toward Vance, his hand on his belt. Vance finally, mercifully, shuts his mouth. I'm awarding the plaintiff $5,000, I announce, my voice echoing through the silent courtroom. That is the maximum this court can allow. But I am also finding that the defendant's actions were willful, malicious, and fraudulent. Mrs. Gable, I want you to take this judgment to the sheriff's office immediately. Do not wait. I want you to file a lien on that truck. I want you to freeze whatever is in that elite bank account before he can spend another dime on ribeyes. Can I do that? She asks, her voice trembling with hope. You can and you will, I say. And I am personally going to follow up with the district attorney's office. This isn't just a civil matter anymore, Mr. Vance. When you intentionally damage a senior citizen's home to extort money, that's a felony. It's called scheme to defraud in the first degree. And in this state, we take it very, very seriously. I look at Vance. He looks broken. The shiny suit looks cheap now. The arrogance has been replaced by a cold, hard fear. He thought he was coming here for a bit of TV fame and a quick exit. He didn't realize he was walking into a buzzsaw. You thought you were the smartest guy in the room, I say, leaning forward, but you forgot one thing. The truth has a way of coming out, especially when you're too stupid to keep your mouth shut. You laughed at this woman's husband. You laughed at her service. You laughed at her pain. Well, look at her now. She's the one with the judgment. She's the one with the law on her side. And you're just a man with a bucket and a very long list of people who want to see you in a jumpsuit. I pick up the gavel. I'm ready to end this, but I want the final word to be about the woman he tried to destroy. Mrs. Gable, you are a lady of dignity. Your husband would be proud of you for standing up here today. Don't let this man's ugliness change who you are. The world is full of Derek Vances, but it's also full of people who will fight for you. I look at Vance one last time. Get out of my courtroom, now. Before I decide 5,000 isn't enough of a lesson. Bird begins to escort him out, but Vance stops. He looks back at me, his face twisted. You'll hear from my lawyer. You can't afford a lawyer, Mr. Vance, I yell after him. You've got a $5,000 judgment to pay, and I hope he charges you elite prices. I turn to the camera, my face set in stone. The rage is still there, simmering under the surface. This is why I do what I do, because without someone to stand in the gap, the Mrs. Gables of the world get trampled by the Derek Vances? Not today. Not in my house. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. I say firmly, we're done here. I slam the gavel down. The sound is final. The case is closed. But as I watch Mrs. Gable gather her ruined photos, I know the work isn't done. I have a few phone calls to make. I have a district attorney to pester. And I have a feeling Derek Vance is about to have a very bad year. Next case, I bark, already looking toward the next disaster waiting in the wings. Because the nonsense never stops, and neither do I.